Messiah on Channel Africa as we open gateways and conversation really that matters when it comes to what is happening on the African continent. A pleasure to have you join us in the final hour of the show. We're 11 minutes into 3 p.m. in Central African time. So let's continue on themes around G20. As mentioned, we did speak about it a bit earlier in terms of our storytelling around the G20 as Channel Africa and what you can look forward to. Okay, but the G20 Social Summit opened this week with a powerful message from children across the continent. Decisions about the future cannot be made without the voices of those who will inherit it. Young delegates gathered in Johannesburg to debate key issues such as economic justice, digital access, early childhood development. Very key alongside that is matters around climate resilience as well. So they have crafted a declaration that basically reflects both their concerns and their ambitions, and they will be delivering it at the highest level of leadership as the summit unfolds, of course. Rooted in lived experiences, their message underscores the belief that young people must play an active role in shaping the policies that affect their lives. Through open discussions, creative dialogue, community engagement is another really important one. The delegation highlighted how global challenges are already shaping classrooms and childhoods on the African continent. And as the summit continues, of course, we're going to see what the recommendations will be as presented through the public events and formal sessions as we see them. I've got a duo of guests this afternoon that are going to be joining me as we shape this conversation around what took place at the Social Summit. Mesuli Kama, Network Mobiliser for Hold My Hand and part of Children 20, as well as Phunyeletso Mogalane, who's joining me as a young person. Welcome to the both of you. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. A pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having us. We are delighted to be part of this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. I think either of you can take this question because this year's G20 Social Summit puts children's voices at the center, which makes a lot of sense to my ears, that's for sure. But talk to me about what stood out to you about perhaps how this young delegation was able to articulate concerns and hopes for the future. Maybe we can start with you, Phunyeletso.
Well, I attended the Children's Pre-Summit last week, which helped me and many children to come together and share our voices, our perspectives on all of these thematic areas. You know, because of our different backgrounds, we gave so much insight. It was so broad. We included children with special needs as well. They were also able to voice out their opinions and add towards the declaration, which was something very, I'd say powerful, because, we don't always include them in these discussions. So, yes, and this week during the G20 summit, social summit, we have been going more and getting into depth with this declaration.
Okay. This is us in conversation with Phunyeletso Mogalane, that's the voice that you're hearing, joined as well by Mesuli Kama, who is Network Mobiliser for Hold My Hand and part of Children 20. And we are looking at declarations made by children who really are the future. So we cannot host a summit and leave the voices that are going to inherit this future behind. And that's what the conversation is layering this afternoon. Let's take a break and come back.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kapu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. The G20 Summit through African eyes, live updates, and expert voices only on Channel Africa.
All right, a very important conversation that we're having in the final hour of the Upside, looking at the G20 Social Summit that opened this week with a powerful, very relevant message from children across the continent. And they also want a seat at the table to make the decisions about their own futures, about what their childhoods are going to look like, about development, around how climate is going to affect them, and how they move around, not only in the continent, but the rest of the world. And also, I think such a relevant conversation for us to hold on the program, as today is International Children's Day. If I'm not mistaken, the 20th of November is designated by the United Nations to acknowledge and observe World Children's Day. On the line with me this afternoon, I've got Mesuli Kama, Network Mobiliser for Hold My Hand and part of Children 20. Phunyeletso Mogalane as well joining me as a young person who has a lot to say about these declarations. Let me bring you in, Mesuli. Talk to me about the network mobilization work that you do with Hold My Hand. What is the work of your organization?
Yes, thank you very much. At Hold My Hand, we support the national strategy to accelerate action for children, which sits in the presidency. Our work really is to mobilize all of society for action for children. You know, that what is it that we can do for children, whether you are in church or you're a church leader, whether you're a business leader, whoever you are, wherever you are in the country, what is it that we can do for children? Can we put them at the center of our national development and seeing investment in children not as a social welfare issue, but an economic imperative, as you were saying, that we want to build the economy in the future. It means we must invest in them today to ensure that they reach their full potential. And at Hold My Hand, we've been speaking to teenagers across the country, and they've been saying their voices are not being heard. And we're very grateful to South Africa that in its presidency of the G20, it was able, because it's a history that has been made in this country, to say that children are going to be an engagement group and their voices are going to be heard. So as Hold My Hand, we are about ensuring and mobilizing everyone, led by an imagination that says, imagine a South Africa where every child born today, the next day and the next, had enough love, enough food, enough safety, and enough brain power every day of their lives. So that's what we're trying to do as Hold My Hand, to push that narrative, to put our children at the center. As you were hearing for yourself, they are not too young to understand. They are not too young to lead, and they are not too young, to participate and contribute to the decisions that must be made about their future.
Absolutely, never too young at all to talk about how would like the Africa that they would like to live in this day and age. Mesuli, so just based on what Mesuli is saying, talk about just some of the urgent issues for you as a young person. What themes are urgent to put on the table by children at this time, and I guess those that actually affect your daily lives at this time?
Well, as technology is rising, and as I was working on the thematic area, digital inclusivity and equitable transformation, I'd say that technology is really advancing and accelerating at a rapid rate. And so children and adults, this is an intergenerational thing. Children and adults are being affected by technology. And, most of the times we look at it from a negative perspective, This is helping us to make global connections. This is helping us, to uplift ourselves, to uplift communities as well. Watching a single video online can either, help you or destroy you. It honestly is a big problem maker in terms of even mental health. Well, and it actually helps the mental health of children as well. So I'd say that even child participation is another thing to consider. And children with disabilities are affected as well because, they need technology in order to do their day-to-day activities. They need technology to be able to access certain things. But unfortunately, the designers never consider their needs when they're developing these certain technologies. And so I would say that we should start creating safer places online for children. And also I spoke about how the government must enforce certain policies and laws so that we as children are protected, so that we are not exposed or exploited online. And I think that is what I can elaborate more on.
Right. Very important. Mesuli, this declaration, as we witnessing it, is being handed over today, which is International Children's Day. So, talk to me about what impact you hope it will have on policy making and how governments can make children more meaningfully included. Phunyeletso speaks about inclusion of children that are living with disabilities. And when we look at the broad term of disability, it's not just physical, intellectual disabilities and others. So let's talk about this from a meaningful, inclusive decision-making part beyond the summit as we see it.
Yes. So in terms of the process as is now, I think about it should be 20 or 30 minutes ago, children were on stage. They handed over the declaration of the social summit to the president. And the president is going to take that to the G20 leaders. And in their own declaration, children are hoping that G20 leaders are going to hear them. But we are grateful to Channel Africa, for example, for inviting us to talk about this, because it must not be a conversation that ends here at the summit. It must be a conversation that continues. It must continue in municipalities, if you look here in our country, where children are living. Municipalities themselves must create space, as Phunyeletso is saying, of child participation, where their voices are heard. We used to have junior councils back in the days, but they are no longer that active. They must be revived, where children are being given an opportunity to raise their voices. But as I'm saying that it needs all of us, it needs all of society to think about what is it that they can do. So the National Strategy to Accelerate Action has about 10 priorities. And in those priorities, as you guys were conversing now, there is giving children that are living with disabilities the same opportunities as others. And as you say, there are many disabilities. There's also the issue of newborn babies who are not picked up early in terms of their loss of hearing. There's also the issue of visual. You know how hearing is important for learning, even visual, how it's important for learning. How do we as a country start to have universal newborn hearing screen? How do we start to have a visual screen at an early age? How do we, when we design, mainstream the issues of children with disabilities and not treat them as a side issue? Because there's a problem in South Africa now where we design something for children, exclude those with disabilities, then later when we've designed the program, think about them. It should not be like that. Let us, when we design, clearly define who is a child. A child is a child regardless of what abilities they have. It's a child and they have rights according to the Constitution. So when we design, and we're saying this to all designers, as my co-leader here was saying, they must think about these children. So if you are doing a program, if you are building a school, for example, why are we still building schools that not have ramps for children who can't walk, because we know that there are these children. Why do we want to build a school and then later think about accessibility for children with disabilities? So we're saying, let us raise this voice. It won't take Hold My Hand alone. It will take you. I imagine a situation where Channel Africa on a particular day has a slot that it has for children, where you just talk about children.
Yes.
You know, whatever it is, there's a lot to talk about. There are many of these leaders. They are found in schools. They are found in the Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament. They are found in other programs. They are found in RCLs, as I'm saying. Find them. Let's talk to them. Let's give them the space to raise their issues. You know, there's another campaign, if I may, that we were having, where we were saying teenagers must teach parents how to parent them. It's a very tricky conversation for parents. No parent wants to be taught by a teen how to parent them. But we want parents to listen to these teenagers. They have something to say. They are innovative. I was blown away. I wish you were here when we were having the pre-summit. How they were positioning, you know, representing their views on these issues, digital transformation. And as she's saying, what I liked is that they were not only talking for themselves. As they were talking, they were saying, well, we might have the gadgets. There are still those who do not have devices in the deep rural areas. They don't have data. Let's think about them. So you will see their declaration. It covers all ground, and it will take all of society, as I'm saying, that we must put children at the center of our development. It can't be that, for example, recently in Gauteng, 40 children in a year died because of malnutrition. How can that happen in a country that does not have issues of food insecurity, where we have about 10 million tons of food that is wasted, but we still have children that are dying because of hunger? So it takes all of us. That's what we're trying to drive. That's what they are trying. That's the cry they are really presenting here, to say, hear them, hear their voices. Let's put them at the center. Let's love them, you know, and let's make sure that they are safe and protect them.
This is so important, and it's really just so good to meet the acquaintance of Hold My Hand, holdmyhand.org.za, should you wish to just, you know, acquaint yourself with the community and the work that they are doing in really involving children, and also building spaces for children and teenagers to be able to express themselves fluently in this manner. Thank you, Mesuli. Phunyeletso, just to wrap up with you, talk to me about how you wish to be protected, because these are big stages and there are big themes that you are addressing, from technology to climate resilience to the protection of children. You know, how would you as a child like to be protected as you have these conversations, but just in how you move around and express yourself? How would you like to see safe spaces being created for you to continue to share your message at this level?
Well, I would like to, vision myself, as a young girl, to be able to walk out at night knowing that I won't be in danger, not having, certain fears and anxieties because of, the gender-based violence rise in Southern Africa. I would like to have more platforms and more safe spaces in our communities, whereas when we may be facing family issues or maybe bullying or any sort of social ill that we are facing, we can reach out to. I'd love to have more online safety spaces that I can reach out to whenever I have a problem online. Even anonymous text, we could start establishing we could start establishing programs that we could reach out to anonymously, for those children that aren't comfortable with, talking to people about these situations. Because, in this world, this is, it's very unfortunate that we have so many people with mental health conditions and they are too afraid to speak up. Because, these are the things that empower us, to live more, to explore more, and and build up our confidence as a whole. So I'd love to be in a, world that is safer, more, that listens when we cry, that has empathy, overall. And yeah, I think that is the kind of world that I want to live in as a child, as a girl, and as a better future for ourselves as children, because the government makes laws and policies that are affecting us, and we want a seat on the table. We want to be able to voice out our problems, not the other way around. And as I've quoted before, there is nothing for us without us. And so, yeah, I would love to live in a world like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phunyeletso. All the best. You are so brave, and but also I love just the autonomous nature in which you're approaching this work. I think it's wonderful. Mesuli Kama, thank you as well for your voice, and also Hold My Hand, really doing the work in terms of putting forth recommendations that can be carried forth into policy and action. And action at the end of the day. Very, very important and significant work. The voice of Mesuli Kama, who is Network Mobiliser for Hold My Hand and part of Children 20, as well as Phunyeletso Mogalane joining me on the line this afternoon. Such an important conversation. It is 3:32. So sorry, Figile Lungwati standing by on the sports desk.